As the young Thutmose III ascended to the throne of Egypt, the royal court buzzed with both anticipation and uncertainty. His stepmother, Hatshepsut, had reigned as his co-regent, and now the time had come for him to prove his own worth as the sole ruler of a vast and powerful empire. Under the shadow of Hatshepsut's monumental legacy, Thutmose III began his rule with a desire to carve out his own destiny. His eyes, always scanning the horizon, were set on expanding Egypt's borders far beyond the Nile Valley. Thutmose's first military campaign was a test of his strategic acumen and the loyalty of his troops, many of whom had served under Hatshepsut's more peaceful reign. As they marched towards Gaza, the air was thick with dust and the tension of the unknown, the heavy clank of armor punctuating their steady pace. The Battle of Megiddo was his first great test, where Thutmose III demonstrated his military genius by choosing a dangerous but unexpected route to surprise his enemies. The troops, wary yet trusting in their youthful Pharaoh, followed him through the narrow mountain pass, a move that would later be celebrated as a stroke of tactical brilliance. Emerging victorious at Megiddo, Thutmose III secured his reputation as a warrior king. The cheers of his soldiers mingled with the cries of the defeated, and the fertile plains of Megiddo became a testament to Egyptian might and the strategic mind of their pharaoh. With each subsequent campaign, Thutmose III tightened his grip on the Near East, his dominions stretching from Nubia to the Euphrates. Each conquest brought not only new territory, but also a wealth of resources that would ensure Egypt's prosperity under his reign. At the Siege of Kadesh, Thutmose's patience and persistence were tested as the fortified city resisted his advances for several weeks. The Egyptian army camped under the harsh sun, their resolve hardened by each day that passed without surrender. Thutmose III, ever present among his men, shared their hardships and their sparse meals, his leadership style fostering loyalty and respect. Around the campfires at night, the soldiers spoke of their pharaoh not as a distant monarch, but as a leader who bore the weight of battle alongside them. Thutmose was not only a master of war, but also of diplomacy, using marriages and alliances to consolidate his victories. The deserts and cities under his control enjoyed periods of peace and prosperity, secured by the treaties drafted in his royal tent. Back in Egypt, Thutmose III commissioned the construction of the festival temple at Karnak, celebrating his victories and divine favor. As the temple rose, so did the stories of his conquests, carved into the stone for eternity. Thutmose's innovations in military tactics and weaponry gave his army an edge that his adversaries could seldom match. His introduction of the composite bow, which could strike at longer ranges, changed the dynamics of Egyptian warfare. After his campaign into Syria, Thutmose brought back a variety of exotic plants and animals, establishing a botanical garden in Thebes. This garden was not only a place of beauty, but also a symbol of his control over the natural world, just as he dominated his enemies. A devout man, Thutmose III also made significant contributions to the temples of Amun, reaffirming his divine right to rule and his piety. The incense burned in these temples carried prayers for his continued success and the prosperity of Egypt. Thutmose III's reign also saw successful naval expeditions like the journey to the mysterious land of Punt. These voyages brought back riches that made the markets of Thebes a wonder of the ancient world. Thutmose III took great interest in the education of his son, Amenhotep II, preparing him to be a ruler of both wisdom and strength. He taught him the art of governance and war, ensuring that the legacy of his empire would continue through his lineage. To commemorate his reign, Thutmose had obelisks erected at Karnak, their hieroglyphs narrating his achievements. These towering structures caught the sun's rays, casting long shadows over the people who gathered to admire them. Even in the later years of his reign, Thutmose III continued to lead military campaigns, his energy seemingly unbounded. His soldiers marched behind him, their aging pharaoh as fierce as the day he first led them into battle. As Thutmose III aged, he looked back on a lifetime of conquest and rule that had shaped Egypt into an empire like no other. His death was mourned as the passing of a golden era, and he was entombed amidst the treasures of a god-king. Centuries later, archaeologists uncovered the records of Thutmose III, piecing together the story of a pharaoh who was both a creator and a destroyer. His mummy, when discovered, bore the marks of a life spent in armor, his face set in a mask of eternal vigilance. Our journey through time comes to an end for today. We embark on new adventures every week. If you relish the experience, please like and subscribe.